Good afternoon on this Tuesday, January 27th. I'm Yumna Naufal. You're watching the English news. Here are today's headlines. 2 Syrian rockets hit the Israeli-occupied Golan Heights as Israeli forces respond with artillery fire. Middle East Airlines and other major carriers suspend all flights to and from Baghdad airport one day after shots were fired on an Emirati jet. And the Future Movement and Hezbollah hold a third dialogue session in Ain al-Tine. At least 2 rockets from Syria have hit the Israeli-occupied Golan Heights, prompting Israeli forces to return fire. An Israeli military spokesman says the army responded with artillery fired after ordering the evacuation of Israel's Mount Hermon ski resort. There has been no immediate claim of responsibility for the attack or any report of casualties. The rocket fire comes 9 days after an Israeli airstrike in Syria killed an Iranian general and several Hezbollah fighters. Lebanon's main carrier, Middle East Airlines, has joined several others in suspending all flights to and from Baghdad airport one day after gunmen fired at an Emirati jet landing in the Iraqi capital. Bullets hit the fuselage of a Fly Dubai plane that was landing at Baghdad International Airport with 154 people on board, but all passengers left the plane safely with no need for medical attention. The carrier says it is working with Iraqi authorities to investigate the incident, adding that it will continue to fly to its other destinations in Iraq. Other UAE airlines, including Emirates, Etihad and Air Arabia, have also suspended their flights to Baghdad. The Future Movement and Hezbollah have agreed to take practical steps aimed at improving stability as the country faces mounting threats from Syria-based jihadis on the outskirts of Arsel. In the third dialogue session at Speaker Nabih Berri's residence in Ain al-Tine, the 2 rival influential parties pledged full support for the army and security forces in their battle against terrorism, in a clear allusion to ISIS and the Nusra Front, who have frequently attacked military outposts on Lebanon's eastern frontier with Syria. Electricité workers employed at a Mount Lebanon provider are protesting the recent sacking of dozens of their colleagues less than 2 months after they ended the 4-month nationwide EDL strike. Workers at the private electricity company EPS protested outside their office in the Iqlim Al Khanoum village of Mazboud days after the firm fired 36 people. Among the 3 dozen sacked, around 20 are contract workers who had worked for state-run Électricité du Liban before Energy Minister Gibran Bassil outsourced the management of the Electricité network to EPS in 2012. Contract workers at the Sur office of EDL held a similar protest yesterday in solidarity with their Mount Lebanon comrades. The Lebanese army has continued its sporadic shelling on the outskirts of the northeastern Bekaa town of Ras Baalbek for the 3rd day in a preemptive move aimed at fending off Islamist militants holed up in the border area with Syria. The army's artillery positions have been firing rounds of long-range projectiles and mortar bombs for several minutes every 1 to 2 hours on the outer edges of Wadi Rafi and Ka to discourage any potential attack by suspected ISIS and Nusra Front militants. A military official says it is a warning to the gunman that the army is there and ready to respond to any possible attacks. Interior Minister Nuhad Mashnou has dismissed reports that wanted terrorist Shadi Mawlawi still inside the Palestinian refugee camp of Ain al-Hilwa in Saida. Mashnou says Mawlawi fled from Ain al-Hilwa to the outskirts of Arsel to hide with the Nusra Front. Deputy political Hamas leader in Lebanon, Ahmad Abdel Hadi, also insisted that Mawlawi has left the camp. Maronite Patriarch Shaddai has chaired his first meeting since he underwent brain surgery last week, a day after he was discharged from the hospital. During a meeting with Catholic patriarchs in Kirki, Rai expressed hopes that dialogue among rival parties will lead to a solution to the presidential deadlock, stressing that the lack of a president has led to the paralysis of the parliament and lack of productivity in the cabinet. Gunmen have stormed a luxury hotel in Libya and have taken hostages after killing at least 3 guards and 5 foreigners. According to a terrorist intelligence group, ISIS has claimed responsibility for the attack. A spokesman for a Tripoli security agency says that 1 gunman has been arrested, while a standoff is continuing at the Corinthia hotel. 5 masked attackers wearing bulletproof vests stormed the hotel, shooting in the air. The hotel was evacuated before the attackers clashed with the guards and blew up a car bomb in the parking lot. Tripoli has been hit with a series of car bombs and shootings following the country's 2011 revolution. President Barack Obama will lead a delegation of lawmakers, senior U.S. officials, and 2 former secretaries of state to Saudi Arabia today to pay respects to the royal family following King Abdullah's death. Obama is cutting short the final day of his visit to India to make the trip to Riyadh, the capital of the kingdom. Obama is to meet with new monarch King Salman bin Abdulaziz Al Saud and attend a dinner with other Saudi officials. Secretary of State John Kerry will be joining Obama in Riyadh along with former Secretaries of State Condoleezza Rice and James Baker. Coming up next, we discuss the latest American views post Charlie Hebdo. Stay with us. Welcome back. In an interview with the French radio station Laurent Léger, an investigative reporter at Charlie Hebdo and one of the survivors of the recent terrorist attacks, criticized the hypocrisy of certain world leaders who marched in solidarity with the magazine's staff, specifically those who represented countries that prosecute journalists. However, he did say it was a good thing that U.S. President Barack Obama did not come to the historical march that day. To discuss this further, joining us live from Washington, D.C. is international journalist Hussein Abdel Hussein. Can you hear me? Sorry, we seem to have lost the line here, so we'll have to try again another day. And on that note, let me remind you of today's headlines. Two rockets fired from Syria hit the Israeli-occupied Golan Heights today. Middle East Airlines and other major carriers suspend all flights to and from Baghdad airport 1 day after shots were fired on an Emirati jet. And the Future Movement and Hezbollah hold a 3rd dialogue session at Ain al-Tine. Those are your Tuesday headlines live on Future Television. Catch us again tomorrow. That's Making Headlines. Have a good night.